Joining me now is the general manager of the Soo Greyhounds, Kyle Raftis. Kyle, thanks so much for joining me on the call.
My pleasure.
The Greyhounds had a strong regular season and are now battling it out in the playoffs. What are your overall thoughts on the team's play this year?
Well, I think it's like any year when you get off to a good start, you get greedy and you kind of want to continue to see that team take a step. And I think coming into this year, no different than a lot of teams, we had a big graduation group from the year before. We had a bid for the Memorial Cup, which we were really excited about. So when we were kind of starting fresh this year, it was just great to see our older leadership group really take control of our room and really bring our young guys along. And I think we kind of we're able to kind of bridge that gap between two generations of Greyhound players, and that's what kind of put us in this great situation for this year.
Rory Karrens has been a solid player for your team. He had over 100 points on the season. What makes him such a strong player?
I think it's his quiet confidence. He's not a loud guy in the room, but at the same time, he leads by example. I think when you look at him coming into the league at 16, just the transformation he's done in his game, he's always been a really smart, high skilled player, but just, he's transformed his body. He's one of those guys that's, he's relied on for us and taking key face offs on the penalty kill, power play. And he's just got that quiet confidence that kind of, flows right through the entire organization. And he's somebody that we count on big time.
Shifting over to the priority selection, what is the Soo's mindset going into the draft?
Well, I think for us, we have 4 picks on the Friday night, which we're really excited about. I think it's something that, we're looking at adding to that group of nucleus of the 0405 draft classes that have really taken a step for us. And I think it's just for us taking that best player available and making sure that we kind of bring in a next generation of talented players that have that high motor and, excited to play Soo Greyhound brand hockey. And I think that's something that we target every year. And this has been a great draft, and it's been fun watching players from the first time in a couple of years kind of go right from September to April and see how they kind of develop throughout the year. And I think it's something that, we're excited about the group we're able to add. And we haven't had this many picks in the top 100 my entire time in the Soo. So it's something that we're really hoping that we can kind of add some real character people to this organization and really kind of keep pushing the organization further.
Speaking on those character people, there's some great eligible players for the draft this year. What are your overall thoughts on the year's talent pool?
I think it's really good. I think every year, going into it, you're looking at, what player is going to be there where you pick, especially when you're at the end of that first round. But I think there's a lot of intriguing players both in those top few rounds. And I think we've been successful in our organization last couple of years is finding those kind of players in those later day on Saturday and kind of seeing those guys take steps. So I think it's been a great draft class. It's been, really highly competitive throughout the year. And we're excited to get our hands on a few of them.
Finally, for those players that are selected by the Soo, how would you describe the Greyhounds experience?
Well, I think for us, it starts with our staff, identifying that talent, then it kind of goes into our coaching staff that are going to be able to there to develop it. And I think where our strength's been over the last couple of years is really that internal development for players. And I think the biggest compliment we get is sometimes there's players that are a free agent or, somebody that was taken later in the draft and 2 years down the road, people think, well, where'd this guy come from? And I think it's something that we try and use that every pick with that same mindset and keeping with that process of what we're trying to identify. And I think when they come into this experience and get, feel that pride of putting on the Soo jersey, you can kind of flow through the city. And I think it usually adds to that, energy that the players that want to get better. And we've kind of talked over the last couple of years about continually trying to add guys that are just, you got to kick off the ice, you got to push them out of a weight room and they just want more film and those types of things. Because I think whenever you can add people like that and bring them into the organization, the staff, everybody just wants to be around that. And it just becomes, something that's contagious and something that, you can't have too much of.
Well, Kyle, thank you so much for taking the chance to talk to me. I wish you and the Soo the best of luck in the rest of the priority selection.
Thanks for having me.